Welcome to Inside the 87s, your home for updates of one of the top junior hockey programs in the EHL, located in the hockey hotbed of New Jersey, where hockey players are molded for the next level, the 87 way.
Hello fans and welcome to another edition of Inside the 87s. My name is Anthony DiPaolo. I'm joined alongside Chris Russo. Chris is in Spring Lake right now. He's using his family's laptop, so just don't mind the Robert Russo. But today we have an exciting episode. We have the 87 starting goaltender Owen Haynes joining us. He was the goaltender for the championship team, and we had a lot to talk about, Chris.
That's right, Anthony. And the first time I'm actually available to do this show actually within Monmouth County. You were talking about how this is a road show. It's not a road show for me. It's a road show for you, as a matter of fact. You're in Bergen County still. I get credit for this one, but this was a really fun conversation with Owen Haynes, who is beyond state lines over in Pennsylvania, where he has lived all his life. And it was a really fun conversation with him as we spoke about how he started his career with the 87s in a game against the New York Apple Corps after brief stints with the New Jersey Titans, as well as the Boston Advantage, before joining the 87s a little way into the season, and then a remarkable save just a couple minutes into his game with the Apple Corps, his debut, that really would define his tenure and be a great precursor for a championship season. He also talked about how the 87s pulled off a huge upset over the Boston Junior Rangers, the defending champions, in a showcase earlier this year that really showed that not only the 87s but the South really was for real in the EHL. Talking about splitting duties with Jeremy Connor, a guy a year older than him who eventually got a commit with Franklin Pierce, and eventually taking the reins in net for the 87s for the vast majority of their postseason run, helping lead them to a title this past year in Providence, as well as his plans for the summer and his next and what will be his final season as an 87s player as he ages out and tries to repeat as a champion.
Yeah, this was a great conversation, and Owen really has an opportunity to cement himself as one of the top goaltenders in this organization. When you think about some of the goalies that have played for the 87s, like Ian Greif, John Kopak, Jeremy Connor, that's really good company to be in. But he had a lot to talk about, and here is our conversation with Owen Haynes. So for this week in Inside the 87s, we are joined by goaltender Owen Haynes. Owen, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
So Owen, you were the starting goaltender for a good portion of the season. You were kind of 1A, 1B with Jeremy Connor. You also were the starting goaltender for the postseason, including that championship game. There's a lot to talk about. But first, I know that you started the season with the New Jersey Titans of the North American Hockey League. You played a couple games there. Said you went to Boston for a little bit. And what was kind of the lead up to joining the 87s?
Yeah, I started the year off strong with the New Jersey Titans. Everything was going well until opening night. I didn't do so well, and then we went up to Minnesota. Also didn't do my best. I was still trying to figure out the whole, just getting back into things after the COVID years. So I ended up coming back to New Jersey, and, they let me know that I was released. So I go up to Boston Advantage for about a month. Didn't get any games with them, skated with them a bunch. And then one night I got the call from Adam. He asked me to come down. The very next day, I joined right into their practice. And ever since that, everything's been pretty smooth. All the guys took me in super, super nicely. And yeah, without Adam, knowing me beforehand, I don't know if it would have worked out this way. But in the end, it all ended up pretty well.
Now, you had come in at an interesting time, too, because the 87s they're in the middle of a home-and-home against New York Apple Corps. And the previous day, they lost in the last minute on a goal by Colin Callanan. And then the next day, the team went to Brewster. You had the start, and not even 2 minutes into the game, you made what could very well be the EHL save of the year, where the puck went right up to Colin Callanan, and you just kind of reached back with your glove and snatched it. The Apple Corps broadcaster thought it was in, and in his defense, I thought it was in too. It wasn't until I saw your teammates banging the six on the boards and that was kind of a delayed reaction for me too. But how much of that play do you remember? Can you describe just like the thought process that was going through your head as it was happening?
Right. Obviously, when plays like that happen, and crazy saves like that happen, there's not much thinking involved at all. It's kind of more of a, oh my God, I just left the puck in front of the net. I have to do something to get something in front of the puck. And luckily enough, I spun around, stuck my arm out, and just prayed for the best, and it ended up going right in my glove. But yeah, that was a good moment for me to get, I was new, so get the guys on my side more, and they all loved it. They got the boys going, and we ended up winning that game, thank God. And yeah, that save was a game changer, I guess. We won by 1 goal that game. So yeah, like I said, there wasn't much to think about. I had to stop it because the rebound was right there, and it wouldn't have been a good rebound goal.
Owen, coming to the organization, I think on multiple fronts, because you're not too far from Wall, you're Lebanon, Philly area. And, I just wondered, considering the Titans, you mentioned you went up to Minnesota and then you go all the way up to Boston for a little while. What did it mean to come to the 87s? One, from, being a little closer to home geographically, it's a more tight-knit league. It is condensed to the Northeast. And then on top of that, just the emotional kind of tight-knit aspect within the 87s organization and guys and, living situations, things like that.
Took me in right away, and I love all the boys. They were awesome. Being closer to home was nice. The parents can come watch whenever. We played a few games in Philly, or a lot of games in Philly, actually, so that was nice. And us as a group was definitely by far the closest hockey team off the ice and on the ice I've ever been on. After I got there, there was more changes to the lineup and rosters. We added some guys, got rid of some guys, and obviously in the end it worked out. We ended up winning, but you're right, we were a super well coached, well run organization, and I loved every day of it.
You talk about the 87s being a tight knit organization, or just in the locker room. I just want to go back real quick to that game against Apple Corps, because it was your first game of the season and the save that for the 87s at least. And that was one of your first saves, that behind the back glove save. What did that mean or what kind of impact did it have from a team standpoint, being able to get to know the guys better?
You mean after that save?
Yeah.
I think before I even played that game, I might have been there for a week or two practicing with them, and there wasn't much. Like, I talked to them off the ice, obviously, but once you actually play a game and win with your teammates, that obviously creates a ton more chemistry. So after that save and after that period, a lot of the guys started, I don't know, saying, "Good job, you're doing good out there," and that goes a long way for some confidence. So I think after that game, the bus ride home was awesome. It's always fun going home after a win. And it's a pretty decent drive. So yeah, I got to definitely meet some guys after that in the bus ride home. Guys I haven't talked to yet, I definitely opened up to.
That's not a bad way to get to make some friends. Just make a top play that's going to be on the highlight reel for years to come. But
Right.
also, Owen, working alongside Jeremy Connor, because Chris and I both know how vocal Jeremy is, especially on the ice. Can you talk about the tandem working with him throughout the season?
Yeah, I love Jermo. By far, he was my favorite goalie partner to this day. Because we both had such a good work ethic, obviously, and we competed every day in practice. But there was never a sense of, how do I put this? There was never a sense of, like, I want to do better and I want to watch you fail type of thing. We always cheered on each other. If I had bad games, he would come up to me and, tell me it's all right, like, get him next time. If he didn't play too well, I would do the same. And in practice, we laughed, we had fun. So we were super competitive and we were super, you know, we cheered each other on well. which is super rare with goalie tandems, I think. Just from, past knowledge, it's super competitive to the point where like, oh, I need to do better than this guy this practice. But no, we cheered each other on well. He's a great goalie. So yeah, we were neck and neck all year, and we ended up getting it done together.
Well, I mean, Owen, you got to really put an emphasis on neck and neck there because, again, you mentioned it to us before the interview, and I think Anthony and I could both agree that it really could have gone either way regarding who they could have picked to start the postseason. You guys both had great numbers. You mentioned a great relationship with Jeremy, but how was he there to support you? And on top of that, how do you think the 87s really managed this whole thing? Because Anthony and I have seen in the past, last year alone, John Kopak and Jeremy Connor, and for a time, Matt Sales. It's a very deep goaltending roster.
Adam Hooley did a very good job with, communicating to the goalies, letting us know who's playing, who needs to work on what. Yeah, so I just think the environment that Adam made, along with Jeremy being an awesome person and goalie, really helped us just focus on, we don't care who's playing, we need to win. So once playoffs rolled around, like from the bottom of my heart, I didn't care who played. I wanted us to win because I knew we could. And I was lucky enough to get the call, and Jeremy was there every intermission, every period, every post game, every pregame. He was there, cheering me on, just telling me to relax and stuff like the small stuff like that really gets it done. And I know I would have done the same with him. So it was awesome. It was a great duo.
You talked about that kind of laser focus in Providence, Rhode Island for the Frozen Finals. And that first game was against the Philadelphia Little Flyers after the team had lost that series in the South Division Final.
Yeah.
So being able to get revenge on them, and again, I guess your thought process throughout the game, getting the start, playing the game, and being able to get the win. What was that like for you?
It was a good feeling. Even before the game, there was this certain, I don't know how to explain it, feeling in the locker room, and even in warm-ups. Being in that rink, it's awesome, it's cool and all that. But we all had this feeling that none of us talked about, or I felt it at least. I don't know if they felt it, but there was kind of no way we were going to lose. It was kind of one of those games where like they almost knocked us out and we have a second chance, and you're not given second chances a lot. So I had a very good feeling that we were going to win that game. I believe we scored the first goal in that game too. So once we took the lead, I knew it was up to me and my D-corps to hold the lead, and then we ended up breaking through, scoring I think four or five more after that. So yeah, it was more of a redemption and good feeling type of game. Sort of like we can't let our coach down or anyone else down really. So we all did our part and we got it done.
Well, Owen, it's funny because Anthony and I believe both had remarked that you guys, much of the time, you just had a couple of bounces go against you. You guys seemed like the better team against the Little Flyers for those two games. But you had the experience against them all year. Of course, you battled them as much as just about any other team. But then it's funny, you go into the knockout stage, you face off against New England and then Walpole. You give up one goal combined in those two games. And I believe the team had faced them both, but you personally had not faced either of them. So what was that like, just trying to go in with those guys without as much research available to you?
They were new teams to me, obviously. So for me personally, playing a team I haven't played before, especially that deep in the season, there is a lot. The guys can tell you a lot of stuff about them. You hear stuff about their roster and their kids throughout the year. So you know who their top players are, top scorers, what they do. Of course, we have video available to us to watch their games, to study some film, which we did that before every game. So that helped a lot. And as from a goalie's perspective, it's not much. It's one of the positions where you don't think at all. There's no thinking involved. You kind of just go out there, stop the first shot, then the only thing you have to worry about is the next shot. And then you kind of keep going down the line until the game's finally over. And yeah, so there wasn't much thinking involved.
Yeah, that's a very interesting viewpoint. Oh, and I feel like if you talk to some other goaltenders, maybe there's more of a science behind it. But
Probably.
at least for you, it's just stop the next shot, then the next shot as they come in. That championship game against Walpole, you got the shutout to clinch a championship, which in its own right is impressive. And but, there are also some moments where there was that 5-minute major that the team had to kill off. Was there any point in the game where you felt like, okay, now you really have to dial in?
Yeah, that game, there was no moment where I couldn't be lackadaisical. I always had to be dialed in that game because in championship games like that, shots can come from anywhere, really. So you got to be ready 100% of the time. And that 5-minute penalty kill, I do remember, was super hectic. I think I only saw one shot that whole 5 minutes, I believe, or something crazy. Like my defense was doing a super good job, so wasn't much stress on me. If I remember correctly, TJ Branish, his blade popped out of his skate at one point during the penalty kill, I believe. So I think it was a 5-on-3 until he got off the ice and a new guy came on, and that's when they really pressed. But like I said, our communication, our repetitiveness in practice really prepared us for those kind of situations. And yeah, there wasn't really much to it. We just had to hold down the fort, because after we scored those 2 goals, in my head, I knew, I don't want to sound arrogant or anything, but I knew we have this in the bag pretty much. Like, there's no way I can let myself let in anything at this point. So yeah, those 2 goals were huge. That 5-minute penalty kill was stressful, but turned out pretty well, I think.
I guess another question I want to ask, apart from winning the championship, or maybe before the Frozen Finals, did you have another favorite moment to this season?
On the ice, I forget which showcase it was, but we played Boston Junior Rangers, sorry, and we ended up beating them, which was like a super big moment in our season, where it kind of, like, we knew we could do it, but that solidified it in our heads. Like, we just beat them, that we can beat anyone. We're the top team in this league right now. So that game gave us a lot of confidence. Every game was super fun. I loved the guys playing with them. That game probably stuck out the most.
Now, looking at the off season, can you tell us a little bit about your summer so far? Have you been skating a little bit? What's that like?
Yeah, I've been super busy this off season. My goalie coach, Ben Halford, he lives local, so I skate with him 3-4 times a week. There's another group of forwards around here that I skate with to get some extra shots. Every day, training, gym, stretching a couple times a day, working on hand-eye, just the same stuff. Nothing changes. I try to keep it as season-like as possible. So I wake up, around the same time. I try to practice and then, grab something to eat and then go back and work out, just so in my head, my body is comfortable with, the whole routine and season. So by the time the season comes around, I'll already be acclimated. My head will be in the game, and my body, most importantly, will be, hopefully stronger than last season.
Oh, and you mentioned, of course, we are a long, long way off from the next postseason, but it's funny. I've read so many books because I'm so well read, of course. But I read one of the most famous hockey books, which is Ken Dryden's The Game, and it spoke a lot about how once Montreal Canadiens had won 2, maybe even 3 times in a row in the late 70s when they were so dominant that they kind of took their foot off the gas. They kind of lost momentum for a little while, but of course they ended up winning 4 consecutive years. How are you able to keep that incentivization and just keep that pressure on yourself, keep that purpose to try to win?
Well, I just think personally, my personality is that I'm never satisfied with myself, and like obviously I'm happy about winning and stuff, but I'm not satisfied until I win a second time. So, I win both junior years. So personally, nothing in my head has changed. I might even be working harder because every day I try to prove myself to myself. So I kind of can never be working less than I have before, if that makes sense to you. So yeah, this summer, just sticking with the same program that my goalie coach gives me, and every day just waking up and wanting it more than anyone else.
What's it like working with the goalie coach? You said you've also been helping out some of the younger goaltenders.
Yeah, he's awesome. I'm lucky enough to be in the position to help him coach the younger kids after I skate. So I'll skate with him and eat something, and then I'll go back to the rink and then coach for 3-4 hours after that. And I think coaching helps me too, just so I can verbally point out mistakes that they're making. So in my head, it's a little bit easier for me to process while I'm actually playing. So I got super lucky with having him around, and he's a great coach.
Yeah. I mean, Owen, thank you so much for joining us here on Inside the 87s. I think that's also a great attitude to have, just never being satisfied and using this past season to use it as motivation to go win another one. I hope that you have a good off season for the rest of this summer, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again this August and September.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I hope your guys' summers are well.